Hey, welcome back, grade 9s. Today we are looking at section 5.2, different forms of the equation of a line. So again, we are consolidating everything that we've learned in previous chapters. Not too much new information here, just going back and revisiting, looking at things a little bit more specifically. So standard form of an equation, remember? That means we have everything on the left-hand side, the x, the y, the constant, and it equals 0. 0 is on the right-hand side. What we do need to remember is that this number here has to be an integer. So does b, so does c. No fractions are allowed in this equation, in this form of an equation. Also, this number here, a, must be positive. B and c can be negative. All three have to be integers. A must be positive. All right, then we also looked at slope y-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M is our slope, b is our y-intercept, and of course fractions, positives, negatives, they're all allowed here. Example 1, find the slope and y-intercept for each equation. So what we want to do is we want to take our standard form and we want to see if we can come up with some sort of formula for determining our slope and our y-intercept. Well, initially what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange my equation. I'm going to rewrite this equation in slope-intercept form, which means I'm going to take the 3x, move it over to the other side so it becomes negative, take the 5, move it over to the other side, it becomes negative, and then I'm left with 5y equals negative 3x minus 5. Well, I need to get rid of this 5, so everything gets divided by 5, and we're left with y equals negative 3/5 x minus 1. So my slope is negative 3 over 5, and my y-intercept is negative 1. I'm going to repeat this process for my second example. 5x minus 2y minus 7 equals 0. Move the 5x over, it becomes negative. Move the negative 7 over, it becomes positive. Everything needs to be divided by that negative 2, so all of my signs will change. So we're left with y equals positive 5 over 2x, positive divided by negative, minus 7 over 2. So my slope is 5 over 2. My y-intercept is negative 7 over 2. If I take the general standard form equation, ax plus by plus c equals 0, and now rewrite this in slope-intercept form, look at what happens. Well, the by stays on the left-hand side, ax moves over, so it becomes negative, c moves over, so it becomes negative. So I'm left with by equals negative ax minus c. I need to get rid of that b, just like I did in my previous example, so everything gets divided by b. And when I do that, I'm left with y equals negative a over bx minus c over b. And what this gives me now is a formula for my slope and my y-intercept when I have an equation in standard form. My slope will always equal negative a over b, and my y-intercept will always equal negative c over b. So I don't have to go through the process of now taking an equation from standard form, rewriting into slope-intercept form to find my slope and my y-intercept. I can use these two formulas right here. And let's look at an example. Find the slope and the y-intercept. So we're in standard form. My formula is slope equals negative a over b. So negative 3 over negative 8 becomes positive 3 over 8. Y-intercept, the formula is negative c over b. Well, c is negative 5, so when I change it and make it negative, it becomes positive 5 over negative 8, and so my y-intercept is 5 over 8. Example 4. I want to take this equation, which is in slope-intercept form, and I want to rewrite in standard form. So remember, I need to see ax plus by plus c equals 0. No fractions allowed, and a has to be positive. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my fractions. I have two fractions here, a denominator of 3 and a denominator of 4. So what I want to ask myself is, what is the LCD? What is the lowest common denominator? What is the number that they both divide into that will clear my fractions? Well, that number will be 12. I could pick 24 or 48, of course, but the bigger the number, the more work involved, and it's not simplified. So we try and choose the smallest one. So our smallest is 12. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply every term by 12. Because it's an equality, it'll still remain true. So 12 times y, 12 times 2/3 x, 12 times 1/4, I end up with 12y equals 8x plus 3. So I'm getting a lot closer. I don't have fractions anymore. Now what I want is the x and the y and the number all on the left-hand side. So I move the 8x over, it becomes negative. Move the 3 over, it becomes negative. So I'm almost there. Negative 8x plus 12y minus 3 equals 0. I can't have a negative x. It has to be positive. So again, this is an equality, which means I can multiply by any number. As long as I do it to both sides of the equation, it'll still be true. So I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1, or divide everything by negative 1, however you choose to interpret that. And we end up with 8x minus 12y plus 3 equals 0. So there's my equation in standard form. All right, example 5. Mary works at the jean shop after school for $10 an hour, and on Saturdays she works at the Pasta Palace and she earns $9 an hour. She's saving up to purchase a new iPod, which is $360. Give 5 combinations of hours worked that will earn her $360. Well, the first thing I need to do is to come up with an equation. So in my equation, I know there's always an x and a y. I'm going to let x represent the number of hours that she worked at the jean shop, and I'm going to let y represent the number of hours that she works at Pasta Palace. So my equation becomes 10x because she gets $10 per hour at the jean shop, plus 9y because she earns $9 an hour at Pasta Palace, has to equal 360 because that's how much money she needs to purchase her iPod. So there's my equation. I want to come up with 5 combinations. So the easiest combinations are my integer ones, obviously. I could start by solving for my intercepts. If I want to find my x-intercept, I plug in 0 for y, solve for x, and we end up with 10x equals 36, or sorry, 10x equals 360, divide both sides by 10, x equals 36. There's my first ordered pair. So if she works 36 hours at the jean shop, 0 hours at the Pasta Palace, she'll earn $360. For my next combination, I could plug in 0 for x. Imagine she doesn't work at all at the jean shop, only Pasta Palace. Well, now I have 9y equals 360, divide both sides by 9, and I end up with y equals 40. So there's my second combination. If she works 0 hours at the jean shop, 40 hours at the Pasta Palace, she will earn $360. Well, I need to repeat this and find 3 other combinations. When my equation is in standard form, it's difficult to choose other points, right? I could choose 1, 2, 3, but I might end up with some crazy decimals. So if I take my equation, I can rewrite it in slope-intercept form. And here, y equals negative 10 over 9x plus 40, here I can see that if I choose multiples of 9 for x, I'll always end up with integers, which is why I chose 9, 18, and 27. Plug those in, and we end up with very nice, tidy numbers, 30, 20, and 10 respectively. So there I have 5 combinations that will work. She can work 18 hours at the jean shop. She can work 20 hours at the Pasta Palace, and that will earn her $360. Okay? And there are several other combinations as well. These are just some that we've chosen. Okay, so for homework, I'd like you to look at these questions on page 269. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out and I will get back to you. Have a good day, everyone.